Uh-oh. Somebody's still coughing.
Good evening, and welcome to the other side of the ball. As we come to you live for episode number 1, 2, 3. Eventually, we might get to 4, 5, 6, but for now, it's 1, 2, 3. Double A, Chris and Corey Hammond with you here on this Wednesday evening, the last Wednesday of the month of February, and then Sunday, officially Saturday, it will be the 1st of March. But before we um, get into festivities on episode 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, tragedy has bestowed the A7 family, specifically here in Nevada, as we just found out that a beloved member of this division who recently retired after week one of the last national season. We have lost our dear beloved friend, Coach Q, who was beloved by all that came across him. And certainly we here at the other side of the ball certainly want to send prayers to his family and also those players that he coached. To say that Coach Q was a well respected and well liked man would be a sincere understatement, of course. Chris, you know him a lot better than others. My time with him was brief, but um, he was always very pleasant and very kind to me. Coach Q, for a lot of times, will be the first person there to help set up the field and always one of the last people um, to leave. Always willing to give a helping hand, always willing to mentor, teach, and coach the game of football and just be a mentor and the coach in the game of life. So definitely it will be different. Um, not seeing him on the field, but definitely different him not being with us physically. So again, Coach Q has gone to the football stadium in the sky. So, gentlemen, I'll reserve the floor to you and have your thoughts on what you want to say about Coach Q. And for those that are watching and or listening, if you have any thoughts that you want to share about Coach Q, please, by all means, feel free to let us know in the comments. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Well, you know, finding out about that, it was kind of a mixed bag. And when I say that, it wasn't a mixed bag about finding out about it. What I mean by that is some people were saying he wasn't doing great. And then the news came that he's no longer with us. And that was a tough pill to swallow. Um, Here's a gentleman that, I got to work with over the last 3 years. Um, Probably one of the better people that you could meet and just a all around good guy. But, you know, he would take on people with no problems. And, he didn't have any bad words for anybody. He was basically just trying to help out where he could. And I know that when the season ended, he was like, yeah, I think it's time to retire. And that was 2023, not the 2024 season. He was like, okay, I want to spend some time with the family and, kind of hang out and do what I can. So um, it's if I seem like I'm at a loss for words, I am, because I in the back of my mind I keep thinking, we're going to go into this season and he's going to pop up and say hi like he's done in the past. So it's very hard for me to kind of verbalize my feelings for him, because he's going to be sorely missed. I mean, that's the bottom line. He will be sorely missed in this division.
Yeah, and for the division to be as young as it is and to be kind of littered with these situations that um, are obviously regretful in their own way, each of them obviously a little bit different. But I will say, kind of, to spin it on the positive note, that two of the coaches that have sacrificed their time and their effort and their energy for this division and for the players and for the football community of Vegas. For it to have been Coach Q pretty much until the end of his, his availability, right? For him to be that involved with our league, to be the one who's, he was there when me and the broadcast team were out there in Bullhead. He didn't have a team that was in. but he was a fixture in the A7FL community. I'm pretty sure he's a fixture in the Vegas football community at large. And from the outpouring of love and condolences that I've seen in the different Facebook communities and the different things on social media, he touched a lot of lives. So whenever we lose somebody like a Coach Q, there's always going to be mixed emotions, because he's part of it is obviously it's regretful and sorrowful to lose somebody, but then you also start to think about kind of in a different way. Some of the positive stories, some of the fun things. I didn't know him that well, but when I think of Coach Q, one of the things I think about is when I would do my call to kind of check in. I think he was responsible for the Pit Bosses last regular season, or it was the previous one. I'm not sure. But when the other coach that was there quit because he doesn't have the constitution to be a guy with integrity. Coach Q stepped in for that man, a very short person. Coach Q stepped in for him, and I would call him up to be like, hey, just checking in, want to see what you guys are thinking. I think he was a big part in the Quinton Ariarte's development, and you could see it on film, right? But I would talk to him, and then after football, we'd start talking about Pokemon cards, because he was into a couple of other different hobbies and things that he was doing till the end as well. So, obviously there's the mourning that's going on, but I think a lot of people that knew him, that were close to him, that kind of just maybe just cross paths with him. There's a lot of joy in sharing the stories and kind of reliving those moments with somebody that's unfortunately gone. But when you live a life like he did, his legacy will continue, because he's got all those people that that he meant something to. And it's sad to hear, but my condolences go out to the family and all the friends and all the former players. But let's keep his football spirit alive. Most importantly, now let's shit talk and let's do all that. But most importantly, he was a classy competitor. And although he wanted to beat every team he went up against, I don't think I've ever heard a negative word from his mouth or a negative word about him from anybody else. So, his legacy lives on. Sad to see him depart us, but his memory and his effect on people's lives will continue. Far after he's moved from this plane.
All of us could agree with one thing, and that's rest easy, Coach.
Well, one thing I can say, he has been a guest on this podcast a couple of times. One time, he actually wore the alien suit and revealed himself to be.
I remember that. I remember that episode.
He revealed himself to be the head coach, along with the late Bobby, who was the owner of the Alienators.
Oh, that's right.
Coach.
That's right.
And
yeah,
those two
of them, both of them.
And because of those two, we discovered the talents that were Jaden Webb and Devontae Moncrief on that Alienator squad during the 2023 Fall Brawl, which saw them qualify for the playoffs and gave the top-tier team some pretty stiff competition during that Fall Brawl. So to pinpoint what Corey said about how he developed Quinton Ariarte into a pretty good quarterback before, unfortunately, he was injured and was not available for the national season this past season, and hopefully he will return this year. But I certainly, I know he was affiliated with the Pit Bosses. Hopefully, we will have some moment of silence tribute on opening day to honor the memory of Coach Bobby and, of course, Coach Q. But certainly, like I said, if you guys have any comments about Coach Q, feel free to leave in the comments. A lot of shuffling, a lot of back and forth, a lot of things have been happening here in the league this past weekend, to the term of some shocking things that have came about since the last time we came to you, which is quite
what a difference a week makes.
That was a huge waste of time, huh, guys?
Well, I mean,
we went an hour 41, 52 or something. I'm making those numbers up talking about a team that, well, Chris, did you find out anything since the last time I spoke to you?
Well, so what I found out was, and it wasn't much, and I wasn't able to kind of get some questions answered. But Troy did say he was going to call me later, and I really don't want to you know uh, put out there anything that is disrespectful or wrong.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that there was a mention of a contract and an expiration, and I will leave it at that because I don't know the rest. I really don't. That's all I got. So I'm not gonna feed the wheels of rumors. Um, However, that might be a not a bad segue to move into a segment that we can call rumors. And as everybody's out there listening, if you have answers, real answers, you can let us know. But that's what I'm hearing right now for that portion of what's going on with the Force. So
Or hopefully we can actually get Troy Shepard to come on and he can officially announce it himself. I mean, if you want to.
yeah, he was busy with some family stuff. I didn't want to kind of interfere with that. Maybe we can get him on here next week and he could talk about it a little bit and put a lot of the rumors to rest. I think that you know Troy had he had a great comment about that because I was calling him because I didn't want to feed into the rumors and I didn't want to kind of get on here and start spreading even more. So I told him out of respect. That's why I was calling him. I wanted to find out what was going on straight from the horse's mouth. And he basically told me, he goes, Chris, you know what? It doesn't matter because even if I told you 100% of the truth, people are going to make up the minute we get off the phone. The minute we finish talking, the rumors are just going to go a different route anyway. He says, I know that's what's going to happen, and he's probably right. But at least that way, people can hear straight from him exactly what was going on, and we could put a lot of it to bed. But it's one of those situations where you've got to kind of ask yourself a really big question now, and that is, where are the players going? What's going to happen? Because there's still other teams out there that are looking to round out squads, looking to round out their team for this coming season. And the bigger part about that is when we were ranking, Corey and I talked a little bit about this, when we were ranking teams from the Vegas division, we knew Insomniacs, Sick and the Force were in the top tier. And then we had the second tier, third tier. But my question, to you guys and Corey, we spoke about this too. Who is going to move up? And without knowing where these players are going, who's going to move up and take the Force's place in that top tier?
Well, just to clarify, what we do know, which again, as Chris pointed out, it's not much, but now this is from the A7FL Nevada page, and this was 3 days ago. So the only thing we can say that is legitimate for the time being, until we get more information from the Force organization itself, is they have announced their retirement from A7 competition, and that's as far as we know. But with that said,
So they gave you the results, not any of the extenuating circumstance that led to the result.
No, they gave you the dessert with no dinner.
Yeah, but
they gave you the menu and it said no soup for you.
But outside of that, in those 3 seasons, they were the first Nevada division winner. And
Correct.
They were the first team to actually go into New Jersey and win a game in New Jersey. So
Also correct.
That can never be taken from them. So I mean, they did a lot of firsts. Had some very talented players. Obviously, we had on former head coach Mack this last week, to which we appreciate him for coming on and doing it. And they had some great talents coming back. I mean, of course, we ad verbatim have talked about how great of a talent that De'Aaron Fox is. Where does he go? Because I know there's some teams in this division that can use a quarterback of his skill. So that really remains to be seen on what goes on because I mean there are some talented. I mean, for example, like Toad Smith came back to the Force. Now, where does he go? Um, Now we thought, and now Cool Case Justin Shepard, who was going to the Force, where does he go now? So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah, all that stuff that we did last week, it was just to troll you. It was just another Corey Hammond troll.
now,
Thank you for Coach Mack for the in-depth troll. We wasted all of your time. We wasted our own time. I wasted my wife's time. We wasted even a little bit of Derek's time.
I don't know if we wasted time.
No, I'm just, you know what? The one thing that I thought was confirmable, but it is confirmed that it is not confirmable. Okay. From some of those same places you got that message, Dub, I saw it was a video, and there was one person in an octagon, and it had the wolf logo of the Insomniacs. And I thought that this was the backstory. There was another human that had the Force's logo as their head, and what with it said, I don't know. Obviously, this isn't confirmable, but it said that the Insomniacs then were chasing the Force out, and then it shows in the video that the Insomniacs were chasing the Force guys with the Force head around the octagon, and then apparently out of the league. So that is not confirmable. I think, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get the story. Maybe who cares at this point? But we, as a group, probably not as good as you guys because you could probably fill us in quicker. But we, as a group, by next week, we'll find out a little bit more because we have a ton of time until the season. So with guys trying to find spaces, I'm sure they'll take their time with plenty of time.
Tons of time.
This is what I said though. I was wrong about a lot last week. Extremely wrong. Like I couldn't have been more wrong, but I was right about one thing. Your guys' division is insane, and there's always insane stuff that happens like 2 weeks before the season. And yeah, it was 3. Our bad, but it wasn't what I was saying. Maybe what I was saying was true too, but we'll find out. So
I don't know. Remind us what you were saying.
There were rumors, and I was like, oh, this rumor could happen. This rumor might be true. One was about Geary. One was about the Insomniacs. And, hide the lead. The foreshadowing was right in front of your face. We had the former coach of the Force on. Force are gone. So that happened.
Now there's even other speculations on what could wind up happening back east and speculations of what could wind up happening. The one thing that we do know that we can, it's not even letting the cat out of the bag. It's just, it's anybody who's seen the schedule for this year can see that there's going to be some crossplay that we have been discussing for quite a while, where we're going to see some of the guys from the Midwest taking on some of the East Coast guys. And I think that is going to really kind of give us that big picture, if you will, that we've talked about in the past, which was, last year we wanted to see Chaos play the Watchmen in the playoffs until that whole thing went down. Won't even get into that. But the bottom line was, who would have won that game, right? We all wanted to see that because we wanted to see where Chaos was now because they felt like they were a much better team. So I think that we want to see what's going to go on, knowing that Chaos is now, and correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, part of the Octane?
No, some of the Chaos has gone between
No,
the
so-
Heist and the Crush.
Ice.
Yeah, so basically, the way that it looks right now, and I guess things change rapidly in this league. I don't know. The Octane from Indianapolis, they're going to hold down their team and their state. And the Ohio team, it's mostly going to be a one team for the state kind of situation. Who's allowed and who will play is actually up in the air, I think.
Canada's just said that the Crush and the Octane from the Midwest will be playing in
Eastern
the Eastern
Conference
Conference schedule.
Correct.
And that's and we're not saying anything that hasn't already been
Right.
announced.
No, yeah.
The schedule's been out, and you could see what's going on with that already.
Well, and I actually we had a guest lined up to do. Chris and I talked about something
Yes.
came up. So our backup guest for tonight at around 9 o'clock, we may have one of the coaches from the Northeast, the owners of the team from the Northeast that is going out to Indianapolis week 1 on to discuss a couple of things, just to have someone to talk to. But I think another thing that Chris and I mentioned would be interesting to kind of chop up. We started the show off with a farewell and a an RIP to the great Coach Q. Then we laid the Force to rest officially, even though they were kind of gone already. So now with that void of the Force leaving, gentlemen, who steps up into that alternative to Sick and Insomniac's role now that the Force, who occupied that role, are gone and out of the league?
Well, now here's my question. Now, before we get into that, my question is this: now that there's 7 teams now in the biggest division, does that mean a team will get a bye week, or does the play-in come into play with that thing? How does this?
I mean, you almost have to, unless there was a team that was stepping up from California to take their place that would bring it back to 8 and make that. But then you'd have traveling teams. So realistically, I don't know what's going on with that just yet. I don't think that's going to pan out. So I think we will have 7 teams. The question mark that I still, Corey and I were talking about with the who steps up. Well, the bigger question is, where's everybody playing? Right?
Yeah.
We know that there are some guys that were stepping away from other teams to go play
Very
with
good point.
with them. What's that?
No, the point that
Oh,
Carlos just
Cunningham
made.
and Shepard. Yep, will win free agency. I'm not going to step off. Let me finish my thought, and then we could go back to that. But the question mark is, like I said, where we don't know where these guys are going and how many of them are going. Could it be possible that a team like, and I'm throwing out names, don't start the rumors. I'm not saying this is what's happening. What if a team like the Hunters pick up pretty much everybody that played on the Force? That brings over, because I mean, look, they were putting together or trying to put together a full team that was going to take that next step and try to rival, a Sick With It and an Insomniac. So I'm not saying that they were going to. All I'm saying is they were trying to. So now we don't know where that next step goes. So do we see part of them go play on one team, part of them go play on another team? We know that there's factions that happen like that in the A7. We know that guys like to play with their boys. I don't have a problem with that. What I am saying is we don't know what's going to happen with these teams just yet. And it could wind up being very interesting, because what if all of a sudden, with a Force leaving and maybe these teams this team breaking up, maybe we wind up with 4 decent teams in the A7 Vegas division. Maybe we wind up with 4 of these teams being highly competitive, not just with other teams, but with each other. So that's going to be something to take a look at, because as you scatter talent like this, teams always step up.
Well, and part of the Force's whole shtick or gimmick or the secret ingredient in the sauce is that the structure of the organization allowed them to kind of take advantage of having a lot of guys that were, good names on paper, and then converting that into kind of the consistency you would expect from a team that has a coach, has a general manager, has a direction, has a one voice type of situation. But then now that they're gone, you look at some of the name brands that are still left in the division. I mean, I've heard there's turmoil with Sick. The only team that seems to be completely solid, even though I heard rumors that are probably just wastes of time, right? But I think the most kind of solidified roster and had additions are the defending champs, right? We talk about the guys that Kenny Mack is bringing, and he had the Facebook post revealing of who those guys were, and obviously we don't all know who those guys are until they prove themselves, but with the pedigree that Kenny Mack does.
But one of them is Mr. William Carswell, who was in the top 50, or was one of
Carswell from the Gold. All right, yeah. So he's 100% for kick returns. So If he can continue that'll be helpful.
But
But
I think to kind of layer on top of that, Corey, is a fact of when you look at something like this, what's a team that we consider that was always close but just a
Long
few
time no
players
see,
away?
Travis. How are you?
What's up,
I mean,
Travis?
we talk about two brands in this league. We talk about a lot, right?
But OTT is one of the teams that we've
Exactly.
always said they are a couple players away from being a really good squad.
Mhm.
Is this
Or are they the structure?
yeah?
Because
But
they had just as many good players as a lot of the teams in this league on the 50.
Agreed. But if you think about the teams, or excuse me, the players that could leave the Force and go play with OTT, those players bring structure. Those players bring what they knew from the Force. Could we possibly see? And plus, don't forget the one thing that I was even forgetting. There was a new coach that was coming into the Force. What if that coach also went over to OTT, brought those players? Now we don't have that we're cooking with fire, if you will, when it comes to OTT and the possibilities.
Yeah, and Ashmore is giving us a little feedback, and I think, part of the move in the offseason going to the Force, Savion Cunningham, him defecting from OTT might speak to a little bit of what Steve's saying in that comment that's posted. The other name brand that I think we lose sight of, and we lost a little bit, it lost a little bit of luster last year because of, the last 2 years in the spring, is the Kryptonite. Now, from what I've heard, the Kryptonite have done a pretty good job of getting guys on the roster that are in that talent level that you're looking for. Obviously, bringing a team back, we might speak from somebody later on. Hopefully, we can get them. Knows a little bit about that process. It's not easy, right? Because when you are away and then come back, you're going to lose a lot of the consistency. Guys that were on the team are now other places. You don't always get those guys to come back. So we'll see what the Kryptonite can do. And then, like you mentioned earlier, Chris, depending on where these guys go, it could shift a little bit of the balance power, at least in that second tier. Because, ask Jeremiah Reeves. You get a lot of the guys from the Force. They join up with the gold. All of a sudden, you have like a golden lightsaber. I don't know what you want to call that.
Old Force?
I think that after talking, like we kept making the Star Wars reference with the Force, that there should be a team that comes in that's the leftover guys, and they just call themselves the Dark Side. And then that's it. That's my pitch. I don't know if it's going to happen. I know there was some kind of stealth thing going on. The guy's hooded anyway, just put a breather on. Looks a little like a certain, something that starts with D, ends in Arth, and starts with V, ends in Ader. I don't know if I could say that with copyright infringement, but you guys all know what I'm talking about. You guys all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who Arth Ader is. Yeah.
What is this nonsense? Possible underrated pickup for a rebuilding team in Harry Potter? Possibly playing. Is there a Harry Potter? Like, do we know somebody that has a scar on their head from Voldemort?
No, his nickname is Harry Potter. He was actually a defensive end for OTT.
Mr. Stidham.
Yep.
Mr. Stidham is known as Harry Potter.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, I didn't know that. So, if OTT could use a guy, it could be a Hagrid. No, they need big guys. So if they could get a Hagrid, if they could get like a Hufflepuff, I don't know even if that is, but I think if it's.
I understand where Steve is.
A Hippogriff.
I understand where Steve is coming from with the OTT situation, but if you think about this for a second, if you as OTT are losing a bunch of players and you need a bunch of players, who better suited to pick up damn near everybody off of a Force to go play for them?
A team that lost everybody else that they had?
Yeah,
but are they going to go? If they just got Savion Cunningham, and Savion Cunningham was in those practices, and Savion Cunningham came from OTT, that's like G's like his boy for life, right? They G was starting to try to do a Batman and Robin thing with the two of them. It is what it is. But for him to leave OTT now, he's got to go back. Like that's like a dude or a chick breaking up with their significant other. What's up, Miz? That's like a dude breaking up or a chick breaking up with their significant other. They go to the other person and then they break up and then they just come back like nothing happened. It's not like a 1-for-1 metaphor, But how does Savion come back into the house? Like he just opens the house because G hasn't changed the keys yet, drops all his luggage off, and acts like nothing fucking happened. Like is that how they're gonna go? Is that what we're gonna do?
Dude, the thing about it is we know how these things can go, especially when you're dealing with a lot of this stuff. You know how, if you have no place to play,
that's part of it.
No place to play. What are you going to do? You're going to go to a team that wants you, right? And you can't go to the Insomniacs. They're pretty much tapped out.
Savion can. I had a Facebook argument specifically about that conversation, but he said no to that.
Yeah, so I mean, all I'm saying is this: if you have no place else to play, you're going to be looking for a team as long as you want to play. Yeah. And if you have a situation where it leads you with your guys to go play as a pretty full squad to another team, because don't forget, these teams that have started in the league, the OTTs, the Hunters, Insomniacs, all of them are teams that are teams that have been here. And they're not going anywhere. So if you want to take on the mantle from one of those teams, you can, as long as they're willing. So my question mark is, if I'm a G, I'm looking at this and saying, look, you guys all want to come over here and play with OTT. Okay, look, no problem. I'll give you the keys to the castle, but I want to run with you guys, and I have 3 guys that want to run with y'all too.
Well, I had a good conversation this week with Tone Smith, the linebacker from the Force, went to the Insomniacs, went back to the Force, had a good year last year, kind of was like under the radar. We didn't necessarily mention him in our top 50 other than to say that, part of the reason we were impressed with Jeremy Reeves, sorry if I mispronounce that every other time. I actually switched back and forth, so I'm right 50%.
Mr. Reeves.
Okay, Reeves. I like to say Revis. It sounds like he's got an island out there.
It looks like it's spelled Revis.
I know. So Reeves. So when we were talking about Jeremy Reeves, one of the ways in which we put into perspective how good he is that he was replacing Tone. So I talked to Tone. He said, and I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check my brain here. Whatever. My bad, Tone. I'm pretty sure he said it's okay. Sick for Tone. So that happened pretty quick. So, adding a guy like Tone Smith to stick with it, shoring up that center of the defense, especially in the run game. One of the ways that the Insomniacs, their main rival out there, want to try to win and beat you is by owning the middle of the field, by dominating the trenches and being able to run the ball consistently. I don't know if that solves it completely, but adding a guy like Tone Smith to your linebacking core for sick with it, that's a big move. So I think that's a kind of puzzle piece that's kind of fitting in and probably fits in really well.
And I don't think
I think
seen rosters yet to even know what to even sit here and say, hey, look, we can look at such and such or these guys over here, those guys to kind of understand.
Yeah, after last week, right?
Right. These rosters and where everybody's going, because it seems like I don't think we're done with Was I done?
All right.
TBD, to be determined.
Yes, very much so.
But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, now joining us here on the other side of the ball is the owner of the Old Bridge Hawks with their first season in the ASNFL. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bobby
back.
Blue.
Remember, they existed.
We were here a long time ago. Well,
okay, so please tell the story.
2 years ago, Corey will tell you. 2 years ago was a long time.
I will.
Can you guys hear me? By the way, I'm
yes,
back at work.
Got you.
You're good. You're good.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. We're just trying to get back into it. Corey will tell you. I tried to retire about 45 times, and somehow the league keeps.
Bobby Newman is the only player in the history of sports to have retired more times than Brett Favre. He also quits being a Bills fan after every single season, only to then become a Bills fan 13 minutes later after throwing a temper tantrum when what was it, Kincaid or Knox that dropped that pass?
It was
Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, poor guy.
Still too soon.
I'm sorry. I won't say it. I don't want to upset you. But two things came up.
It wasn't going to stand anyway, so it doesn't matter even if you caught it.
They never do against Kansas City. They never do.
No. And you even heard the commentator say, "Oh, we got laundry on the field." Never amounted to anything because guess what? Kincaid dropped the ball. There's no point in keeping it on the field.
Now,
So obviously, it was going to be against Buffalo.
now there is something that I did see here on the Hawks roster on the ASNFL website. A
He's
certain
telling you to be
fella,
quiet. He's telling you to be quiet.
a certain fella.
Well, but it's public knowledge, dude. It's on the website.
Yeah, Bobby. RTU, they were talking about it last night, and shout outs to Keith Salmon. We're gonna hope to try to see if we can get him later. He said that something came up. He was gonna do the RTU2 recap for us on the other side of the ball and talk about what he and company and friends were talking about in their most recent Instagram live.
What did you want to say? We might as well say it because it's public knowledge. It's on the internet.
Go for it, Dubby.
Well, basically, of course, the infamous question is, as always around this time of year, is where is Corey Hammond going to play quarterback in 2025?
Where is he going to play?
I'll announce it. You know, we've had plenty of discussions with Corey and his side of the people. You know, his agents, aka Jess. We've had plenty of discussions with Jess about Corey's playing future. Got to go through the boss, of course.
Of course.
Corey, if you don't mind, I'll make that announcement. Corey's going to be slinging the rock for the Old Bridge Hawks.
And Catalyst Wrestling says I get 15%.
Hey, remind me, what's 15% of zero?
A T-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It's been worn, but it's still something.
Only one.
I'm sure Corey has about 35 jerseys laying around. He can give that.
I don't doubt that.
No, those jerseys are of the street value of half a eaten sandwich from a bodega and quarter waters. Okay, so that's a little bit above the we'll say the commission for Matt Ryan. Yeah, so I'm playing for the Hawks. Me and Bobby have been working on this behind the scenes for, like 2 months now. We've been kind of ripping our hair out, and look at your head. But I think we're gonna wait to. I think we're gonna wait to announce some of the other roster moves because I'm excited for the opportunity to play with Bobby again. There's a couple other guys on the roster that I think are going to be doing big things. But the reason I wanted to have you on, Bobby, is because very similar to two of the things that were mentioned earlier on in the show. One was with a Vegas team in the Kryptonite. They're doing what the Hawks are doing. They were in the league, had a step back, and they're coming back. And I wanted to kind of just pick your brain about what it's like. The Kryptonite are back. Yes,
I love that. I love that.
Listen, green teams go green, right? For Hawks are in the Oregon colors. Kryptonite are in the I don't know what we'll say. The
Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, there's no Lex Luthor playing quarterback anymore that I know of, but we could dub somebody else, Bizarro or something. But I wanted to get your perspective as because I'm like helping. I'm not really doing it, but like some of the stress that goes into reviving an A7FL team. But first, I want to talk about something that also came up because of the situation with the Indianapolis and Ohio divisions. And I know this very well, obviously, because I'm pretty close to it. Our team, week 1, will be traveling out to Indianapolis, Indiana, to be playing the 1:00 game against the Octane.
Hell yeah!
And just because we obviously talked about it, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Although I could probably talk for the next 40 minutes without taking a breath, and I could. So I'll be nice and not. But when faced with that proposition, yeah. Well, listen. I'm trying to behave myself. Like I'm trying to still remain.
I keep you on this on the right path, and
Yes.
pull you back every so often when you need to be pulled back. Usually by the caller, so you're good.
Yeah, and then somebody comments at me, and I get grumpy, and I start yelling and shit.
And you start talking shit, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is.
So
Better you than me.
Yeah, right. So I just wanted to kind of because obviously we talked about it, but share with us your perspective on being the proposition of week one and this happening, kind of what your thought process is as a, what, like 16-year vet that's retired 43 times?
A couple times. Yeah, I mean, listen, Corey can echo this. This all kind of came together pretty quick. I think a lot of the things that were originally happening fell through. I'm sure you guys already are aware of that. We got asked to do our part. And to me, I've always been under the impression that if you're part of the problem, then you're not doing anything for the solution. So I don't know if I can curse on here. Can I curse on here?
I fucking think you can. But
Yeah.
I kind of said fuck it. I think the opportunity to go out and play a nationally televised game against, a team from Indiana, that to me, the opportunity alone is way too good to pass up. For most of our guys, who a lot of our guys haven't really played outside of Jersey, not to my knowledge. Outside of going to Maryland, but that's right down the road. That's right down I-95.
Yeah,
Going to Indiana
comparatively
is a dope experience. Playing against those guys, I got a lot of respect for those guys. They came into it. Well, I'm assuming a lot of them rookie year last year, right?
Yep.
I respect those guys. I can't wait to play them. I think it's going to be a fun game. But to answer your question, like, it all came together super quick, and it was as fast as it all kind of rolled and happened. It was double as stressful trying to get everybody out there, everybody set up, making sure everything is good. So I must say kudos to Corey for sure. Kudos to Ryan DePaul, and the league. Really, they kind of helped out and did their part, and we appreciate it. I think the opportunity is just too dope to pass up.
Well,
Yeah,
let me ask you this. I mean, I think that what you guys are doing is pretty damn good. My question mark is and I'm glad that you guys. Well, Bobby, I hear what you're saying about the respect level for the guys in Indianapolis. My question mark is, we've heard many times over that to kind of beat the man, you got to be the man. You got to beat the man. We know that. And we're not talking about championships. What I'm talking about is just the fact of, we've had the kind of question mark about the teams in Indianapolis for a few years. We've seen two of them be very, very good in the Chaos and the Heist, especially last year. We know what happened with the Heist. We know what happened with Chaos. Let's put that all behind us. We know that Chaos is no longer. However, we also know that there are members of that team that are going over to different teams within
Crush,
Indianapolis. Crush being one of them, and I'm very interested to see what happens. But what I'm getting at with this is, with you guys playing now an East Coast, Midwest kind of schedule, we're going to get to see what those teams in the Midwest are really made of with Indianapolis. So when you guys are going out there, are you kind of taking that East Coast mentality with you to say, look, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and that's what we're here to prove. You guys better prove that you're the man.
So you kind of have to, right? If you don't come into a game, any game, no matter who it is, even if it's, Hawks, Animals, Hawks, Hawks, Insomnia, it don't matter who it is. Like, you have to come into a football game thinking, like, you're the shit, beat me and prove me otherwise. It's no disrespect to anybody, but that's how you got to feel playing football. At least that's how I feel. I feel like I'm better than everybody else on the field, whether I am or not. That's my mentality. You have to obviously show respect. You have to be aware that your opponent can beat you at any time. But at the end of the day, it's 7 on 7. You have to come up. You have to show out. You have to play ball. I think we're going to do that. I'd be lying if I say we're not going to do that. But just show up. You got to show up. Show up and show out. It's on TV, man. You don't want to look like shit on TV.
No, and I agree with you. The reason why I'm asking that is because we discussed this a little bit earlier. Don't know if you heard it, and that was the fact of, we would have liked to have seen what the outcome would have been with the Watchmen and Chaos. We don't know, and we'll never know. But we would have liked to have seen what the outcome could have been there.
Well, we wanted a different outcome. Yes, I think we all saw that video, and that outcome is not the outcome. No,
we all wanted to see what would have been the next step for either one of those teams. So when I see that you guys are going to play this team, it's not a knock against either one. It's either you guys or them. What I'm talking about is, we have now seen what the Vegas division has done with some of the East Coast teams. Not totally. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying totally. I'm just saying we've had a sample size. Until that Watchmen game, we would have got that sample size, right? And we still haven't had it. So I'm really interested in this game with you guys because I want to see that sample size. How close are they, first and foremost? And where are you guys at coming back? So it's be a very watched game from my standpoint for sure.
I can tell you, I think us coming back, I think we're being slept on a little bit. I think we got some athletes, we got some ball players, we got some people who've been around this league. They know what the day ins and day outs of a Sunday looks like, and they know how to handle themselves. I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit surprised by the Hawks. I think a lot of people are talking a little lightly. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not mentioning any names, but I'm hearing some things. Like I said, end of the day, we got to show up and ball. Period.
Yeah. Yeah, and just real quick, Matt, I know about the heist in the U, but we got Bobby on from the Hawks, and we're talking about him right now. But thank you. We'll talk about that later.
Well, and another thing that I kind of wanted to mention is because there, first of all, March 16th, tune in, whether you're playing, I know Vegas guys watching or fans from Vegas watching this show. There's the guy. He's making the face.
That's a mean looking motherfucker, man. I don't want to play him.
That's Eric Schuford. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Number 3.
On the yes,
number 3
on the top 50. Yes,
Bobby, we'll get you. I'll personally, not because I do the list, but because I'm the one that throws. I'll personally get you on that list myself, my guy. But the other thing to mention, March 16th, check it out. Time difference, right? So you guys will be able to wake up and watch some of these games. The other game, so 1:00 Eastern time. I believe that works out to being 10:00 Vegas time.
Well, if they're Midwest, it could be 2 hours.
Yeah, but I think it's going to go Eastern Standard Time, right? Okay. So it's probably going to be like 12 or whatever.
Cincinnati is 2 hours, not 3.
Well, and it's in Indianapolis technically, so.
Yeah, so it depends on where you guys are. It might be one or the other, but we'll figure it out.
What's up, Darren Palmer? The geography behind it, I'm not going to get into. 1:00 Eastern Standard Time, 10 Pacific. You guys can watch that game. The next game, after Hawks Octane, another interesting one. Animals, Ohio Super Team Crush. So. Definitely going to be a fun weekend. The following week, I believe, also the Renegades will be going out there. I'm sorry?
Who are the Crush playing again?
The Animals.
Oh, interesting.
That's going to be a good game, man.
That's going to be because and
that'll be a good test for the Ohio division because let's face it, when we have the consolidation of teams, you see it all around the league. You saw it in Pennsylvania, and that's how we got the Immortals. You see it in Baltimore. That's how we got the Watchmen. So the Ohio division, they're all kind of condensing into that Crush organization. So you're going to get some of the best players from all around the division. We're going to see how they stack up to a team in the Animals, which is one of the most fun teams to watch, period, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they're coming off of well, I'd say this. They're coming off of a how many game losing streak, guys? I think it's 3 or 4.
I think it's 3.
so for as great as they are, they've got plenty to prove too. So that's definitely going to be a prove-it weekend for sure for our Hawks, Bobby. I'm 0-14 past 2 years. I'm ready to get on the other side of that number. But also that Animals Crush game is going to be huge because the Animals, they still got stuff to prove, even though they're fun to watch. Let's see if they can turn that into success.
Corey wants
from what I've heard. It's not about me. Listen, they're not the Old Bridge Corey Hammonds. That's the Corey Hammonds was my fantasy team. So if I'm drafting them, it'll be the Corey Hammonds.
The Hawks.
No, the Hawks are going to definitely be a team to watch from my perspective for sure. Stay tuned for that. Now, the other thing we mentioned earlier on is that the Kryptonite, they're coming back. Now, last year was weird for you specifically, Bobby, because as a player that's always had a spot on any team that he kind of wanted, because you've proven it on film, everybody that knows this league at all, and Bobby, we're talking about 16 years going back. Probably, we were just talking with Ryan DePaul on that one call. But
It's been a while. It's been a while.
everybody the first thing they hear Bobby Newman, they go to the you jumping over another human being video. Awesome video. YouTube it, guys. Go check it out. LJ Smith used to call you one big play, Bobby Newman, because every single game you have at minimum one big play. So last year you were in this position where you were almost always synonymous with either the Thrashers or the Hawks. That team isn't really, doesn't exist as it will this year, but it didn't exist last year. You tried to organize some of the guys going to the Watchmen. That became a thing. Now you're coming back. So maybe from more of a generic perspective, kind of giving us a little insight to what's that's like. What are those guys from the Kryptonite going through, right? So they had a team. Those guys go elsewhere. Now you're scrambling. Tell us about why your head is bald and how we can help you get as much of it back as quickly as possible.
Well, first of all, it's bald. A lot of it has to do with genetics. Second of all, I don't think it's coming back. Third, what they're going through, I can tell you it's not easy. It's not fun trying to get guys to come back. People think a team is dead and gone and buried and will never return, no matter what happens. They're going through it. I can imagine. And if they're not, good for them. But it's more so what they're feeling is like, am I wasting time? Am I wasting my time? Am I better off on the couch being a fan? Personally, like last year, like Corey said, like I organized some people to go to Watchmen. A lot of it fell through. There was a couple people down there via me and my doings and everything. I was supposed to play. I just ran into a little bit of a busy schedule, but no disrespect to the Watchmen. It's not the Hawks. It's not my squad. I didn't feel at home. And no disrespect to anybody else, but the reason why I even went down to the Watchmen was because nobody wanted me on their team in Jersey. I got a chip on my shoulder. That's all I can say. But how they're feeling, I can tell you, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy trying to gather people from basically you're starting from scratch, right? You got a dead team, quote unquote. Nobody wants to play for them. Nobody thinks they're going to be around. Nobody's 100% sure that the team's even going to be in the league at the end or at the beginning of March 16th. When you wake up in the morning, are we playing? We don't know. It's tough. It's tough to get a lot of guys to be like, yeah, oh, I'm down. I'm down. Because on the other hand, you have guys that say, maybe I'm better off, on the Insomniacs, winning back-to-back. Let me go for a third. It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough for them. And if they got it together, I'm sure they're going to do just fine. But I can tell you it's not going to be probably the easiest task to try to get that team going on March 16th, ready to go out and ball.
Well, I got one comment and then a couple of questions. The comment, Nutrafol, can always grow your hair back.
Appreciate that.
Then go past that. With the team that you guys are putting together, I would think that first off, I agree with you. I put teams together. I know how difficult it is, especially if you're dead and gone and you're trying to resurrect something that, like you said, was dead and buried. But I think with and I'm confident with saying this, I think with Corey on your side and the two of you kind of pulling people together, I would think that it's not impossible. Let's put it that way. So no. I am interested to see what you guys put out there this year. Corey's my co-host, so I've got to, have respect for him and wish him luck. And I do. I wish you guys all the luck in the world because it's when you see things like this happen and you see teams like this come back, it's actually puts a smile on my face because it's like, okay, we are bringing back guys that, thought that they were out of it. They were no longer going to play. And now you guys are coming back to try this again. So wish you guys all the luck in the world. I think that, as you guys put this team together, I'm going to be watching the hell out of you because I want to see more games from the East Coast anyway. But now I've got two guys that I know, and I want to sit down and watch what you guys are able to do.
Yeah, and what's first of all, let me just say this. Why is it always three fucking bald dudes and me on this panel, right? Last week we had Coach Mack, right? It's every fucking week. It's these fucking shiny ass domes. No, I'm sure.
Well,
I was just thinking about it. I was just thinking about that when you
look this
mentioned.
way.
Go ahead.
Look, if the other quarterback was on here, you would have had 4.
He shaves his head.
Well, he's pretty close to being bald.
Corey,
Don't disrespect my guy Scott Hamilton. Shout outs to my guy Scott Hamilton.
Corey, bald is beautiful, brother.
Yeah.
Bald is
And by the
beautiful.
way,
If you
I'm
saw
bald by
the
choice.
shape,
I'm bald
Bro,
by
if you-
choice. I shave it.
well,
I'm
you
hanging
ran
on by
away
a
from
thread.
me.
I have no choice.
Listen, if you saw the shape of my friggin' blockhead, thank God I can cover it with hair. That's all I'll say. Matt Ryan, shout out to Matt. No, but for just the last thing I think we'll say, because listen, this is a Vegas show. I don't want to make it just about. It's not about me. It's about the Hawks. But what's cool about the Hawks that are all coming back, and whether it's coming back and once again being a Hawk, or guys that are looking to kind of like revive where their career had always been, and now with all the attention, like one of the main narratives that you'll get out of the roster changes is there's a couple of guys that are like, yeah, man, I'm sick and tired of these whippersnappers getting all the attention that I should be getting because I built this league. That's who the Hawks are, at least at this point, mostly. Are a lot of guys like me, Bobby. I mean, look at the Facebook wars that I get myself into because I'm, bored and grumpy like an old man. And one of the things that was a topic of conversation that I was going back and forth with guys
using the whippersnapper comments.
Yeah, exactly. That's
how you know we're old.
Yeah.
That's how you know we're old.
Exactly.
Man.
And then Steve Ashmore is going with the bald thing again, and again he's got that round spherical shape to the dome. Mine is like Minecraft, so I can't be doing that. They call me Steve from Minecraft, but I was having conversations with a lot of insomniacs because the conversation was from this Force thing. Savion Cunningham, hey, come be with the insomniacs. He told us no 4 times or whatever. And what I said is guys should be trying to make a name for themselves on their own, work towards beating the best, not joining them. I think it was like, this weird cultural shift in sports when LeBron and then KD, even worse than LeBron, did this team up thing instead of let's build and beat, let's just join and win type of thing.
We've had the discussion about this though. We've talked about.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is the mantra kind of and what is driving the Hawks and our a little bit older roster. Now we have Zuriel Wright. I'm gonna just not hide the lead. He's young enough to kind of counterbalance that. A lot of guys are over 30 on our squad. But we're built with a lot of main pieces of guys that are willing and are excited to kind of prove above and beyond what we're known for, at least at this moment, because we have that left in the tank, and this is our opportunity to go against BIC, to go against the U.
That's stuff in the basement.
What are you saying? What are you saying about the basement?
I'm quoting
trying to say
Rocky.
we're ass?
I'm quoting Rocky Balboa.
No, I know what you're saying. But we're going to be that team that wants that challenge, isn't afraid of that challenge, and joins up to make it the easy path. And it starts by organizing, getting together, getting our asses out to Indy, and facing a tough opponent in the Octane. And I'm looking forward to it. I know Bobby is. And we're gonna make a weekend out of it where we're gonna put the foundations down to build up from here. Week 1 can't come soon enough for myself, for Bobby, and for the entire Old Bridge Hawks organization.
I'm gonna say this, and like I said, I respect the hell out of you guys for doing this. But one of the things that I'm gonna correct you real quick on, Corey, you were talking about this being the Vegas division. Correct. However, we are A7FL. Period.
Oh no, I know.
And that in itself is a brotherhood and a frat. So don't think that this thing isn't about you guys as well. So that's why I said I give you your props.
Well, I don't want it to be just about me. I talk. No,
and I get that, but at the same time, to talk up your team is not a bad thing. So when we look at this as an overall, and we pull it back together, you and I have had this conversation. I'll say it again. There was a younger side of the players, if you will, where, getting super teams together, which is what other people called them. I'm not calling anybody a super team. I won't do that. You get your boys together and you go out and you compete. But we also know that back in the day, you had guys that were boys. I mean, when I think about it, the first thing that comes to mind is look at all the players that got together from the NBA in the 92 Summer Olympics and blew out every friggin' team they faced. Do you think for 1 minute any of them would have left the team they were on to go play with any of those guys? None of them would have. They were too busy
in the NBA. No, they were happy. They were happy to play with them in the Olympics.
Exactly.
Some of those foreigners.
And as soon as the Olympics was done, it was like, okay, I'm going back to my team, and we're going to kick your ass when we see you.
Better yet, in the what's the Michael Jordan and the Bulls? It's the last. What's that documentary? The Last Dance. The Last Dance. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen went out there to embarrass their own teammate Tony Kukoc in the Olympics. Anyway, enough about me and Bobby. We don't.
Can I touch on that whole thing? Like, what you mentioned, it was just a little backstory on the Hawks. When I first started the Hawks in 2012, I took a bunch of guys that literally either nobody knew who the hell they were, including myself. Number two, it was guys that nobody wanted on their team. So we had a chip on our shoulder. And I think that's the same kind of mentality we're going with in 2025. Like, nobody wanted me on their team. I don't know about Corey.
There's some guys on our team, though, that people want. Not me. There's some guys on our team that people wanted. They're a little upset that they're not there anymore. I'll say that.
Well, from what I understand, the majority of our roster is a bunch of guys that really nobody reached out to. And I know, speaking for me, I take high offense to that, man. I always consider myself an athlete. I like to play against the top talent. I have no problem. I'm not scared. I'm not ducking nobody. It's football.
Have you guys forgotten about the Las Vegas Knights? Dubbed the Misfits because they were all players that nobody wanted. And they went to the championship game, or I think it was the division championship the first year.
Oh, the hockey team, the Golden Knights. Yes. Yeah, the expansion team. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
nobody wanted them. They dubbed themselves the Misfits. Nobody wanted them, and they were beating the hell out of teams that they had no business beating, according to those teams. So, I mean, you can talk about it multiple different ways. We put teams together when I was playing that we had no business beating anybody and won championships. Yeah. So it's one of those situations. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say this conversation kind of dovetails nicely into another topic that we should talk about. Another topic of conversation that is kind of cross-divisional in a way is the super team type of thing that was being attempted. If you guys have seen the infamous screenshots of Facebook Messenger. Now,
Photogate.
Talking about Corey.
Right. Well, as somebody that tries to wheel and deal behind the scenes, and I have plenty of stuff to say. That's why, if you've noticed, League, I like to call on the phone. So don't get your voice recorder ready and catch me in 4K. But one thing you want to avoid is the typed out message that leaks really sensitive information, let's say.
Yes. You should not. That's why you don't put that type of stuff on Facebook.
Well, you can, but there's this thing a phone can do nowadays. It's called a screenshot.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's specifically God's plan or if we're going to ask why he did that. But shout outs to
nice little hit there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. But shout outs to and let me first give props to Ryan Shamar for calling this out really early. I don't know if this is even we're allowed to say this, but fuck it, right? Yep. Ryan Shamar called this player the Diddy of the A7FL because of how many times he slides in DMs with weird sometimes yeah, exactly.
Remix.
So
Sorry.
Carnell Wachter, aka K-Wack, sliding into the DM of multiple time Vegas most valuable player and known as RTC for his ability to bus around defenders for a low cost.
Around, over, through, whatever you want.
Anthony Wilkerson was being propositioned by a BIC player to join their team to start running back for the defending East Coast champs and a team that was blown out, obviously, in the championship by 1 point by the champs. It was a blowout, total massacre, Bobby. I don't know if you watched it. You saw that? You saw that game?
You're an asshole. You're an asshole.
Listen, I am trying. Listen, you hear the tone of my voice. I'm trying. I'll try not to be, but you're right. See, Bobby knows me well.
Call it as you see it, Bobby. Keep calling it as you see it.
Let's first break down that first bit of little information there. That BIC is out there, in the DMs saying, "Hey, baby, trying to take a trip? I got you on the flight." To a running back from the Insomniacs. Let's break down that part first, and then we'll go into the almost even more juicy information in that little screenshot. Guys, what are your thoughts on KWAC propositioning in maybe more ways than one RTC Anthony Wilkerson?
Allegedly.
10-foot pole.
Allegedly.
You're whipping out Chris. You're whipping out a 10-foot pole.
It was not. It was not. It was
Whoa.
not. It was not a. It was not hearsay. What Corey is talking about is 100% correct. I saw there was pictures.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there was a proposition.
Yes, there was.
What do you guys think about the fact that BIC is sliding in DMs of Vegas Insomniacs?
I think it's very interesting, but let me ask you something. And I'm being serious with this question, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask both you East Coast guys this question. There was a point in time where I was on an RTU, and Corey, you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Oh boy!
I was on an RTU podcast.
Let me see if I can get him. Let's go.
Here we go.
Get my ass handed to me about how sorry the Vegas division is and how it would take us years to catch up. Now that we've won 2 championships, I find it very curious that somebody from the East Coast would be propositioning a player from the West Coast to come play with them. Let me rephrase. Come run with them. Since you were saying proposition, I don't want it to go this direction.
No,
So,
he said you want to come play. Listen, we don't know what KWAC meant specifically.
So all I'm saying is I find it very interesting that in a very short period of time, we went from you guys will never catch up, you guys can't beat us, you guys are shit, you're nothing, and now now the West Coast has won 2 championships from the Vegas division, and back to back at that, and going for a three-peat, and now all of a sudden there's guys from the East Coast calling guys from the West Coast to have a conversation about possibly come running with them.
Well, let me say this. And shout outs to RTU, shout outs to what is a very entertaining Instagram live. Check it out. He posts before he goes on, all that kind of stuff. He was supposed to be on. He can plug his own shit. I digress. Those are Baltimore guys that haven't watched 1 second of Vegas film. Okay. They're just out there talking shit with no actual foundation or backing. To be clear, Chris, this is a BIC guy from a BIC team that did play head-to-head against RTC. So he knows better. He knows better.
Corey.
RTU doesn't. Go ahead, though.
Corey, hold on.
Be nice, because there is an Insomniac that wants to rectify the situation. And that Insomniac happens to be the head coach.
Oh, we're just letting anybody on this show.
Hey, Coach, just so you know, we can't see you. Your camera is very dark.
And you're muted.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, but you're still the background's very, very dark.
He's in the Bat Cave.
If you're gonna look like that, you gotta do a Bane voice or a Batman voice or something.
I just wanted to talk to Bobby Newman and say good luck this season. I know it's tough starting up a new team, Well, not new, but coming back from starting up a team from before.
Digging up out of the grave. I appreciate you, man.
I've seen you on, some of the chats and stuff like that, so I just want to wish you good luck.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you. You as well. Not too much, but definitely good luck.
I
I mean,
find
they don't need it really. They're good.
not that I'm trying to start anything with Corey. I'm not, but I'm just saying I find it amazing when he says that people shouldn't join our team, and then you got BIC who tried to form a super team last year, didn't work. Now they're trying to go after players from the Nightcrawlers and my team.
All right, well, we could break the lead. So we were talking about the first.
And hold on,
first.
Corey, I'm talking.
Ahead.
Give me 1 second. You got Snow Tribe and
What are you, Kamala Harris?
the U combining, and then you got the Renegades that actually I don't know if the EO I don't know if that's the Extreme Odds flag team that they brought on too.
Not TMO or TMU or
I think, but they're the Extreme Odds flag team. I think I don't know.
No, EO is East Orange. That's the city.
Oh, okay, my bad. I apologize.
The TMU is that is the I don't know what the acronym stands for.
And then the Watchmen are basically a team built of all the Baltimore best players. So
yeah, I just on this pod called them a Baltimore super team.
Yeah, so there's some things that I wanted to clear out. Last year when we took on 12 guys, 7 of our guys never played before. And now even this season, we're bringing on 6 guys, and 3 guys haven't played together or played in the league before.
Well, mentioning the Last Dance of Michael Jordan fame, here comes, first of all, a great coach, a 2-time champion coach, and maybe the only person on earth, obviously in Vegas, that can handle the many, many other coaches on his roster and keep them all in line. Because like we've said, all of us on this panel, except for Bobby specifically, but I'm sure he would agree. And I just talked to Ken Stansbury and he agreed as well. A man who kind of, whether it was you or a collaborative effort, I know you're humble.
It was a collaborative effort. I mean, I
know you're humble. Outcoached his opposition in the championship game. So congratulations. I never have gotten the chance to say it personally. I know we've said other things to each other.
Well, I appreciate it, Corey.
But in the vein of The Last Dance, I will say that the Insomniacs have that gene from Michael Jordan, where there are the ability to build a perceived slight. Because Coach James, you are saying factual evidence that I made it a topic of a conversation that guys like Savion Cunningham specifically, but that ilk of player should try to, not necessarily, but should try to join teams other than the Insomniacs.
And I agree.
But I will say this. I have, and ask Bobby, because when I played for the Warriors back in 2014, 15, my whole thing was nobody joined BIC. I later joined BIC when I got cut from a Savage. That's another long story. But my consistent take on this issue is I don't like when guys join up. And you mentioned the second part of this little tease here, Coach. We talked about that K-Wack was in your running back's DMs, but we hid the lead. Part of his pitch was saying the other guys that he had apparently secured to come over and was also paying for were who, Coach? Because you've seen the DMs.
Well, 2 of the guys I know, Henderson and Bagway. I don't know who Loco is.
Logo is what he meant.
I know,
and now
but I gotta
forgive K-Wack for his spelling.
If you're gonna try and recruit one of the best players in the league, at least get his name right.
Right.
Well, I think the conversation was that they thought that they had it confirmed. Now I've heard on the back end, there's not even passion yet. My wife hasn't looked over at me sternly because I'm screaming and waking the baby yet. Not yet, at least. Yes. No, because I've actually heard that K-Wack is incorrect in his assumption of where those guys are even playing. And maybe because it came out of the bag and was supposed to be a surprise. I don't know. But here's the thing. You're here. I asked these guys what they think. What do you think about BIC calling your team and trying to get one of your best guys on their roster after only losing to you guys by 1 point?
I mean, people do what they want. People do what they have to do to win. I mean, and that's, the same for us. You asked about Savion Cunningham. You said he needs to make a name for him. He has a good name for himself. And if we could bring him along and at the time, if we could have brought him along and he was going to be a kick returner, that would have took some pressure off Danye, because he's got a tall task of taking the number one receiver every game.
But would you guys use him as a wide receiver too? Because you kind of have a stacked wide receiver room.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing about our team is, you say it's humble. It's not being humble. It's just we're a team. Like it wasn't just me that brought this team together. It was me, Stevie, Munchie, Scotty. We all know each other. Me and Stevie have been like family. Our kids played, Pop Warner together. And his son right now is a wide receiver for UNLV. So, it's just one of those things where, we're practically family. All of us are family. It's not a matter of we're Insomniacs. We're pretty much family.
Wait. Is
Yes,
that?
sir.
Are you really Vin Diesel? It's all about family. That's why he's got the camera off him, guys. It's fucking Vin Diesel. No, I'm just joking. No.
Well,
yeah, but that's the thing.
I can say that because what they make 10 of those movies. So I mean, that's what 10 championships we're going to have to do then.
I guess, but that's kind of my point. And when I talk about the Insomniacs as a team, my point gets lost when you guys bring up the fact that, well, you guys are all a team anyway. After the TMNT and the Nighthawks joined in the flag circuit, and they became the yeah, exactly. It wasn't Nighthawks, it was Ballhawks.
Yeah.
And then what was it? And then became the Turtle Hawks, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We were trying.
So that team, as it existed, already existed. And for a guy like Matt Kenny to bring in the new guys that he's kind of teased that you guys have brought along, that's again, those are your, his, their, whatever the pronouns are. I gotta ask Trump what I'm even allowed to say anymore. He changes every day. But that's the kind of the sentiment in which we operate as a baseline. To be clear, that's kind of the way the U operate, right? The U have a lot of great players, but they all went to William Patterson University. When somebody's a really good player on, like, I don't know, Spanktown, they don't all of a sudden jump up and join and graduate to the U. That's who the Insomniacs have been. So when I'm having that conversation and talking about Savion Cunningham, he's not a Turtle Hawk. He would basically be an outsider that has proven himself on another team that now is going to graduate and then take a reduced role. As you just said, if he's the kick returner, and that's really, he's taking a step back.
We get him in a wide receiver also. I mean, our wide receivers are pretty unselfish, except for, not saying that Munchie is selfish, but he plays such a, like a utility role that he can play any position. You know what I mean?
Well, but my thing, my point to kind of counter you.
4 men in one championship game.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Chris?
I said the only man that blocked 4 men in a championship game
on one play. On one play. Yeah, on one play. Bobby, imagine if a wide receiver on your whatever team in a 7-on-7 league was able to account for 4 on a speed option. That would be wonderful, right? That's Eric Munchie. That's
fantastic player to have on the squad.
Did you slide in his DMs? Because he hates me.
I'll tell you what. I'm not sliding in nobody's DMs simply for the fact that I can't afford nobody.
Well, I think we're good. So,
you got the league minimum at quarterback. We know.
Yeah, well, listen, first of all, that's well placed. I will always give credit. That was probably the best diss that has ever been thrown at me. I really appreciate it. But no, you gotta have the league minimum at quarterback because you need guys to spread the ball around to. And you may know personally, and Scott Hamilton actually threw him a pass. One of the guys that's going to be on our team. And it's not a guy that was formerly on the Insomniacs, so maybe tell Scooter not to throw to him as much. I digress. But anyway, all right, so K-Wack is out there trying to get RTC. He's out there throwing names around like Bagway and all those guys. And then we talk about the Force and how their breakup and those guys moving around.
Hold on real quick. I'm curious. Did anybody see whether or not K-Wack maybe sent Bagway and Logo a message saying he had RTC?
For the last 3 seasons, they're supposed to have had Bagway.
That is true.
I mean, that's been the rumor around the league because they've had Bagway for like the last 3 seasons.
And it extends into 4 seasons ago because the conversation was held for the first time when the Nightcrawlers first came up to Delaware. So
Interesting.
it is.
I'm just curious.
I just think it's a shame that K-Wack doesn't live in this century and he doesn't know that it's easy to screenshot stuff. I was texted from RTC as soon as it happened, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, boy. You know what my question was to him, Coach? I was like, you doing it?
I wanted to talk about the Force. What, I'm sure that the ownership had their reasons why they didn't want to come back, but I just felt it was kind of horse shit that you did it a month before the season started.
Yeah.
And using your A7 tryouts to build your team to not play in the A7.
Yeah, I don't even know where they're playing. I don't even know if their team is breaking up and maybe going different ways. I have no idea what's going on with them.
I just want to give a shout out to Demario Lee, who's putting in the stealth. Like, he took it upon himself to put in a team for all those Force guys and guys that are free agents and stuff like that. He's putting a lot on his plate in a short amount of time to try and build a competitive team.
Yeah, Bobby knows a little bit about that.
So are the
Best of luck to him.
to be the 8th team in the division? Is that confirmed? Is that official?
I think they might be the 7th team. I don't hear any good news about the pit bosses.
Yeah, that was the question mark that I had, was the pit bosses. I don't know that there's going to be a pit bosses. What I've seen is Hunters, Kryptonite.
I do hear that the Hunters, the Kryptonite, and who else? The Gold. They've built themselves quite some rosters where they're around the high 20s and early 30s, which is good. Those guys are usually got like
10,
12, 14 people. You know what I mean?
The biggest question mark I have is obviously OTT.
From what I was told, I heard they had a pretty good a big roster. I don't know how organized they're going to be. I just but they make it they make it interesting whenever they play. So,
well, listen, we know where you guys stand, and I just noticed another thing here, guys. There's another fucking bald guy on.
That's right, brother.
Bro, I gotta. What do I have to shave? Do I gotta just shave it off if I'm gonna be on the show every fucking week?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No, you do. You do. Shut up.
Well, let's be honest. There is that conspiracy theory that I'm wearing a wig. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to show you guys, but maybe I'm just scared to show you guys that I'm bald too.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I'm going to listen to the rest. Sorry to interrupt you, Corey. But
no,
Bobby, good luck, Coach.
Hey, good luck, Coach. Appreciate you.
Nah, he's player, bro. That's a tight end.
Player, coach. Shit like that.
That was head coach James Burgoyne, the defending back-to-back champions, the Insomniacs, coming in and giving some info, if you will. And then Steve Ashmore just said, of the pit bosses, they most likely won't have a squad in the next couple of weeks. So,
well, we'll see. I think that this is a tough time of year for teams that are scrambling. Ask Bobby and myself, but pulling it together and making it happen feels awesome to me. We're headed out to Indy. Not about me, though. I think what's interesting, though, is for Coach to come on and kind of prove my point. The Insomniacs don't have those other guys. Those are new guys. So for those guys to find their spot to try to beat the champs, I think it would be better for the league. I think it would be better for those guys. And I would even consider some of the guys that are on the bottom of that roster. Maybe start looking for your own place in the league and stop backing up RTC. Just saying.
Oh, if I was 20 years younger, I'd come run with you.
Corey's always stirring some shit.
This role, I'm stirring some shit.
Stirring some shit.
What did I do on the Hawks thing? I said that talking about uniforms is a Snow Tribe move, and we are not the Snow Tribe.
Depending on how you want to look at it.
Bobby already said it. I'm an asshole, but I'll try.
He'll try.
I'll try not to be. I try not to be. It's just hard.
You know what? If you change now, I would think less of you. Stay the same.
Don't change, bro. Don't change.
Be asshole. I'm okay with that.
Just says, if we lose our role players, that could cost us the ship.
Man.
Pierre just says, not gonna lie, I just shaved my head, so him saying he needs to shave his is a little funny to me.
Listen, good for
There
you,
you go.
Pierre.
You just need to shave your head, man.
That's
Just need to
Peanut,
trim.
right?
Yeah, it's peanut.
Yes, that is Peanut.
Yes.
I'm
yeah.
trying to imagine him with a fucking bald ass head.
I can't see.
Peanut,
Don't
send
tell me.
picture.
Listen,
Send
look
me
at it.
picture.
If James B is in the chat, Ashmore's in the chat. Don't tell me Darren Palmer shaved his fucking head. Jesus.
No, DP did not shave his head. I just saw him last week.
Matt Ryan's growing out those I almost said
Golden locks?
No, they're definitely at minimum amber. I would say they're more cherry.
I would say it's more
Pierre,
of the...
you're listening. I just want a picture, man. Just shoot me a picture via Messenger.
Just be careful. Just be careful sending pictures. Listen, K-Wax out there. He's in people's DMs. So
I am
would say,
not going to share it with anybody.
I would say Maddie's got the Mick Foley hairdo going, folks. A little.
why does everybody always go to Mick Foley when we do a Matt Ryan thing? It's always Mick Foley. I know he's a wrestling guy.
It's the hair. I'm telling you.
No, it's not. That's
yes, it is.
He's not Mick Foley, guys.
I didn't.
Well,
okay.
after me shaving my head for as long as I have, now my wife wants me to grow my hair out, and I don't know that I want to do that.
See, you probably would call. You're gonna grow a natural, right? That's what it was called back in those days. In those times, the afro. It's a natural.
Dude,
I
my
used to
hair
have
doesn't
one.
grow out. My hair won't grow out quite like an afro. It would be more like Derek's hair.
So the Canadian shows when you grow your hair is what you're saying. I'm sure. See, I'm an asshole. I'm just an asshole.
I would slap you for that comment only because Canadian is not an ethnicity. I keep trying to tell everybody that.
I know it's not.
My heritage is West Indian, so no, it will not look like that.
So you got a little Maui in you.
It's gonna be a little. It'll be a little curly and a little straight all at the same time.
3 minutes, gentlemen. Final thoughts as we put a bow in a wrap on episode 123.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold on. I might be able to give you an idea what it.
All right. So while he looks for that, Bobby, what? Leave us with a comment for our fans, specifically the Vegas guys. Maybe the Octane guys.
Why are you in the fridge, Pierre?
Stay tuned. That's the only thing I gotta say, man. Stay tuned. You're about to see an old motherfucker come out of retirement who is enjoying his couch for 2 years, play some ball. Stay tuned.
How old are you?
And to the Vegas guys, I'm hoping to see you down the line.
Hey, Bobby, how old are you?
38.
You ain't old.
I'm football old.
You ain't old.
I'm
Chris,
football old.
for active players, I'm going to be 38 April 9th. For active players,
Good night, Travis. Good to see you.
we're
man.
getting up there.
Good to
Oh,
see you.
yeah, and by the way, we didn't shout out Travis Gallardo. Travis Moose.
That's our best. Look, that's one of the best guys on here.
Also,
He's
shout out
always-
to Jordan
he's
Davidson.
always with us.
Jordan Davidson, well, Cookies and Milk, his
yeah.
avatar is the Kryptonite.
Definitely,
So good for
cookies
him.
and milk. Cam's definitely need a shout out. DP needs a shout out.
So my parting shot will be, guess we're playing the Octane, right? And so we're going into film and watching film. We have to look out for James Mitchell, right? Mr. Honorable Mention. Nope. He's on the Virginia Heathens. That's confirmed.
Oh.
Talk about RTC going from coast to coast.
Congratulations.
we got the best player from the Octane
No, Travis
headed over to. Oh, let's go. Let's go. All right, Chris.
Oh, last thoughts or final thoughts for this? You know, I know that everything is right around the corner. My final thought is, I truly want to see who winds up playing where, especially the guys from the Force, and I want to see what that brings to the table for this division. But I would sleep on it if I didn't say I want to see what is going to wind up happening when these East Coast teams play the Indianapolis teams. I want to see what you guys are able to do there, and are the Indianapolis teams going to put on their big boy pants and swim out in the deep end? That's all I'm saying.
Dub.
Well, Saturday is officially March 1st, And that means the thick of the season is upon us here.
The thick of
Ace
thick boy
NFL.
season.
Yes, it is. Big man with football will be screaming this soon. And Moose, you have a question from Coach James. Are you playing this season? Before we get off there, if you can answer that, go ahead. But
Coach James sliding in some DMs, huh?
yeah,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. He says.
He says
Confirmed.
he is gonna wrap them up and put the tape on and run through the tape. But
Whoa.
special thanks.
Wrap him up after sliding in the DMs.
Hey, yo.
Oh, wow.
But special thanks to
Going a little
Coach
deep
James.
there, Corey. Going a little deep there.
Special thanks to James Burgoyne for chiming in and joining us. Special thanks to Bobby Newman of the Hawks for joining us as the Hawks are making
Thank you,
their
sir.
grand return to the Ace NFL starting March 16th, which
Good luck to you
again,
guys.
March 16th, which once again starts season 11 of the American Football League. And of course, the ultimate question is, will we see history? Will the Wolfpack three-peat? Or will the Northeast finally make their claims to try to reclaim the throne that's been away for the last 2 seasons? March 16th, come figure it out. But again, once again, to the family of Coach Q and to the players that was coached by him, again, our prayers and our thoughts are with you as the A7 family suffers another loss. Certainly he will not be forgotten, that's for sure. But for Coach Newman, for the quarterback of the Hawks, number 12, Corey Hammond, for Mr. Chris Vera, I'm Double A. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the other side of the ball. Good night.
We got Chicken Troy.